This badge is probably the most famous in the whole of the automotive industry. It was originally the lucky mascot and logo of a First World War fighter pilot, and it's been worn with pride on racing cars and road cars and people's clothing ever since. Ferrari merchandising is a huge business. Anyone who has been to a race circuit will tell you how many they can see in the audiences. They are extraordinarily successful. They are, in fact, the third most successful brand behind Rolex and Coke for recognition. So the Ferrari badge is the icon. It is what we all dream of. It is what on everybody's posters on their walls. And in this truck, there is something unbelievably special. You can hear it, and in a minute, we will be driving it. This is probably the most famous name in Ferrari's history. It's a Testa Rossa. The word means redhead, and all the Testa Rossa engines have scarlet rocker covers. It was launched in 1956 as a 2-litre called the 500 TR, and then had a 4-cylinder engine. A year later, they combined the 290 chassis and this bodywork with the 250 GT V12 power plant. That became the 250 Testa Rossa. Even in the early days, when it was winning races, people knew it was a winner. And indeed, in the World Championship in 58, in 60 and in 61, it won. This particular example is in fact a beautifully hand-built replica from DK Engineering. They were founded in 1977 by David and Kate Cotterham, the D and the K, to satisfy a passion that he had for classic cars, and in particular the XK Jaguar race cars. Their skills and attention to detail, first with Jaguars and then with the more demanding Ferraris, built them up an extraordinary reputation, and they moved over to restoration and rebuilds of some of the finest race and road Ferraris in the land. Rich clients' desire for older exotic cars, but with good reliability, led DK to build just 8 perfect Testa Rossas. They're all based on the one original Ferrari prototype, which was chassis number 0666. This one was built for a secret European client and used the correct V12 Type 128F engine and the 250 GT4 gearbox. It has disc brakes, it has the tubular chassis, it has triple carbs, it has a stunningly beautiful hand-welded body. It was originally, in fact, in white, and the last owner decided to make it a classic Ferrari red. The donor car was in fact a 1960 Ferrari 250 GTE, which was a 2+2 body with a V12 3-litre engine. It had independent front suspension and a live rear axle. Ferrari needed money to help develop their race cars, and with Pininfarina they in secret developed this 2+2 in the knowledge that it would have a wide market and therefore a decent income for them. They were incredibly successful in keeping it secret and then in their PR, because for the 1960 Le Mans they managed to unveil the car when it was used as the race director's car at the circuit. So everybody saw it. And just to rub it in, 7 of the first 8 places in that Le Mans race were held by Ferrari. The GTE helped double production over the next 3 years and was even used by the great Enzo as personal transport. So when it comes to a suitable donor car for such a beautiful Testa Rossa, it seemed an ideal end for a tired example. Under here, there is just a spectacular sight. Look. Isn't that brilliant? Inside, it's everything you'd expect. It's simple, it's stark, it's light. You can see the space frame chassis. It's very saving on weight, but is strong. You can see the exhaust system through the bottom of the floor, which is everything again you would expect of a period car. Getting in, a little tricky, but once there, the transmission feels strange. It's very high. It's almost like a present-day touring car. The gate is everything classical. It is the famous, it's very beguiling this. It's a very famous gate, but it threatens you because you don't have a canopy over it, and therefore you spend your time hunting and praying you're going to get it in. Come on, let's try it. I'll get the hair back and we'll have some fun. The start button is kind of neat. You turn it on and you press the key. Isn't that just music?
In the mid-1970s, Toyota first imported the Land Cruiser to the UK. It was a big, tough, rough, brutal device that looked as though it could absorb the worst the Amazon rainforest or the dust of the Sahara could throw at it. Since then, it's evolved, like the 4x4 market, into the £40,000 Amazon, today's incarnation. Ever since they started building 4x4s, Toyota have built up a formidable reputation worldwide in markets that were traditionally the preserve of Land Rover. Why? Well, even though they were just as tough as the Solihull opposition, they were reliable. That contrasted sharply with Land Rover, who were criminally starved of investment and development during the 70s and 80s. And Toyota simply walked into so many markets in Africa, Australia and the Middle East. Tragic, really. Now we're here in southern Spain to see exactly how the new Amazon goes. First, that name. Now, I always thought there was a Volvo Amazon in the 60s, a tough old saloon car. Turns out Volvo never registered the name. Silly old Volvo. Now, new to the Land Cruiser range is this 4.7 litre V8 twin overhead camshaft petrol engine developing 230 brake horsepower, though why anybody should buy it is beyond me, because on the urban cycle it delivers only 12 miles to the gallon, and in this day and age I think that's unacceptable. It must have been built for the American market, where petrol is still ridiculously cheap by world standards.
I think for someone who wants to buy this sort of car, that sort of thing is further down their list of priorities. If fuel economy is more important to you, you will buy a different sort of car. You will buy, perhaps a Lexus or a BMW, because it will be more fuel efficient. And I think that's the point about choice. People want to have different things as a priority for them, and if someone wants a big off-roader which is also luxurious, this is the sort of thing for them. Many people may want something smaller, in which case there's other things on the market.
So why would anybody buy this vehicle against a faster and probably better riding big executive saloon like a BMW or a Mercedes? After all, everyone who makes these sort of cars will admit to you that 90% of them never even get their tyres muddy, let alone go seriously off-road. If the tyres do get muddy, it's usually from the car park at Ascot or Twickenham. But if you paid £40,000 for an off-road vehicle, owners demand, even if they're never going to do this sort of thing, that the vehicle really must perform. And with the huge torque of the turbo diesel and the petrol models, these Land Cruisers don't disappoint. Trouble with such a huge expanse of bonnet is that when you get to the crest of a hill, you can't see what's on the other side until that area of metal dips, and then you can see the road. Well, not the most challenging of cross-country courses I've ever been on, but nonetheless, very effective performance here from the Land Cruiser. This is certainly no King's Road softy cruiser.
Land Cruisers are very popular and relied on in outback parts of the world like Australia and the Far East, where they're almost virtually the only one that's there. And in those markets, people praise it simply because they know it's going to last and nothing's going to let them down. That's part of the image we have here. And I think it just helps distinguish us from some of the competition as well.
Now, one of the key features of these new Land Cruisers is the refinement. It really is extraordinary. But I've discovered that the team responsible for the Lexus, with its industry class leading standards of noise and vibration suppression, have been at work on this car. Inside, the detail finish is very good. Hand-stitched leather, lots of lovely walnut. Great big central oddments box between the seats. In the top, the inevitable drinks holders and an oddments tray. And then under that, a huge storage area and the CD multiplay unit. And down here, yet another drink storage. You must drink a lot in Land Cruisers. So, there it is, the Toyota Land Cruiser Amazon. Quite extraordinary levels of refinement and silence inside for a big, rough, tough 4x4. If they built a Lexus with four-wheel drive, well, it wouldn't be far off this.
Now, friends say to me, what a wonderful job you have, visiting exotic locations like this, the sunny south of France, driving wonderful cars. And I say, yes, of course. And they say, what's the best car you've ever driven? And I'll reel off a few of my favourites. And then they say, what's the worst car you've ever driven? Well, perhaps worst is a bit strong. Boring and dull best describe cars like the Toyota Avensis, the diesel Range Rover, and the old Mazda 626 Estate. Well, perhaps that's all changed because this is the new Mazda 626 Estate. But perhaps things have gone a little bit too far for those boring and dull people who used to drive the old 626 Estate. Perhaps this new car is a bit too frightening for them. Now, this new 626 Estate is the first to be seen in the UK since 1994, and it completes the 626 lineup. We've already seen the saloon and the hatchback. The Estate is the final piece in the jigsaw. And Mazda, with its style, seemed to want to be as conservative as possible. There's nothing tremendously radical about the car. It's well built, it's solid, it'll be very reliable, I'm sure. And if you want a load carrier, what better than this? Now, at the back, if you need the space to carry lots, well, this car will do it very well for you. And one nice idea as well, the seats move backwards and forwards. So if you want to have more leg room, you can bring the seats back. If you need a bit more luggage space and room to carry things, the seats will go forward. It's a nice idea, that. So, what's the new 626 Estate like to drive? Let's take it for a spin.
Under the bonnet there's a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine coupled to front-wheel drive. Power is 136 brake horsepower, giving a sprightly sprint to 60 miles per hour in just over 10 seconds and on to a top speed of 125 miles per hour. Fuel economy is good with a combined figure of around 34 to the gallon, and in these days of vicious increases in petrol prices, economy is more important than ever. The 626 Estate uses an entirely new and exclusive body with an extended wheelbase producing class-leading interior space. By using a unique body structure, it has also enabled additional structural stiffness to be built in, as well as maximising energy distribution and absorbing characteristics. This has enabled vehicle dynamics, crash protection and refinement to equal the highest standards set by the 4-door and 5-door models. Where has the car been designed and styled?
It's been styled in Japan, although with inputs from Mazda's European Research and Development Centre in Frankfurt, which works very well. You get the best of Japanese quality and reliability designed into the car in Japan, with some European touches in terms of design and equipment level. So it works very well. That's how the car's been designed and developed.
And what would be the key points you would say to a customer who would want to buy an estate car of this sort of type that would bring them into the 626?
The car is very roomy. It has many practical features. The rear seat, for example, on certain models slides back and forth. So, for example, if you had young children and maybe needed more luggage space, you have that flexibility. It has a picnic table on the back of the front passenger seat. So it's a very flexible family car with lots of space. It's very fuel efficient. Its insurance ratings are good, and in all, it's a pretty competitive package. It competes in the mainstream family car market, and that's who we're targeting.
Do you want to know what the stars are driving around London this summer? Is it a Ferrari? Is it a Ducati? No, it's one of these. A GoPed and GoPed thingies, which have been brought into the country by this man. Hi, Jago.
Hi there.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
So tell me exactly what these are, these GoPed thingies.
They're all different types of electric and petrol-powered scooters. They range from sort of £495 up to £2,000 and more, depending on what you want to spend. Pays your money as you takes your choice. It's like that.
And you started with the smaller GoPed.
I started
originally.
with the smaller GoPed, which is the one over there in the background. They are sort of £495. They're just petrol-powered. They're great fun. They're nice and light. They're a lot more portable than these ones, even though these, as you can see, fold down like this. The others, the GoPeds, fit in a bag, which is nice. These machines here are the bigger ones with the fairing and the nice coloured plastics, are all electric powered and are, essentially a much bigger thing.
So Jago, why exactly did you start the company?
I used to work in a PR company. I was doing PR for things which sometimes were good fun and other times weren't. I had a GoPed. I paid, I think it was short of £700 for it when I got it from America, which was about half my monthly wage, and it really stuffed me for the next month. And Harrods were selling them for about £1,000, and I thought, if you can get these things for less money, I think they're quite a sensible way of getting around, and if not just that, just having fun on.
So do you want to show me exactly what this one's about and how it works?
Yeah. This is the most expensive one we're looking at here. This is it folded down. Yeah, and this is it in its upright position. You can get this one as it is here. You can get it with a seat, so you can operate it sitting or standing. It does 0 to 35 in about 2.5 seconds, and is not for the faint-hearted. You have to really hold on. It flies. The thing is, with electricity, you don't have to build up and get revs like you do with a combustion engine. It's instant power. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's a bit hairy.
So what's the top speed on something like that?
It'll do 35, but it'll get there very quickly.
Right, and it's completely electric?
It's completely electric, yeah.
So how does that work, and how much do you have to charge the batteries to get the thing going?
This will take, it'll do 4 hours on one charge, which if you consider 4 hours at 35 miles an hour is a fair old whack. But if you're constantly accelerating and de-accelerating, which is unfortunately what you have to do in busy areas, it won't do the 4 hours, it'll go down to about 2.5 hours. But it'll get me around doing what I'm doing and what I need to do. I know it'll get me home, and I can charge it when I get home. Charging takes about 4 hours. But the other thing you can do, of course, if you do run out of fuel, and I have done when I didn't know how long the charge was in it, just fold it up and stick it in a taxi.
So you plug it in like a household appliance?
You can do it in a restaurant, you can do it in the bank, you can do it in your office, you can do it at home. It's pretty simple to do.
Have people let you plug it in all over?
Yeah, you turn up at a restaurant and people just are so amazed by what you've turned up on. They're like, fine, yeah, plug it in.
Can I plug my phone in and my
Can I plug my phone and my transport in?
And what's the difference between these two? That's obviously just a smaller board.
This is just a smaller version. It costs £650. It'll do 20 miles on a charge. Again, that goes down somewhat if you're constantly accelerating and deaccelerating, but it will never go below 12 miles on one charge, and that takes, again, 4 hours to charge up.
And it's as fast as the other one?
No, this will do 20 miles an hour. You can use it again with the seat in or out. Kids and people who don't want to be seen sitting down or something prefer it with it out. I prefer sitting on it. It's just much more comfortable. You can it's completely silent and it's very easy to use, whereas these are not.
Doesn't it look a bit less cool with the seat though?
Probably. It doesn't bother me. I just find it comfortable. But a lot of people who buy them from me take the seat off completely. But I mean, my mother uses one for whizzing around up in the country, and she uses it with the seat in.
The small motorised go-peds retail at about £500. The larger Zips retail at about £650, and the bigger EMX retail around £2,495. One problem with these go-peds that the Police Department of Transport will tell you is that they are in fact illegal to ride on the road. It is fine to ride them on anyone's private property, or if it's for use for recreational use, but on the roads they are trying to ban them as we speak.